Just kidding. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm Rod Duff, your host.
And I'm producer Barbie.
And together,
we bring you our podcast,
Insights and Straight Talk. And with that, producer Barbie and I are out. I got to be honest with you. Here in Mangum, the weather is starting to look a lot like that scene from PCH there in California, but it's warming up. It's going to get into the 70s or 80s today. Anyway, good morning and welcome to Insights and Straight Talk. I'm Rod Duff, your host, as you know, alongside producer Barbie. And before we go anywhere today, I want to slow it down a bit, just a bit, because this is one of those Fridays where the conversation matters, not because it's loud, but because it's close. For weeks now, we've been talking about systems, how they fail, how they fracture. Same thing in today's Mangum Star. Check out the column. We're really having a nice arc in this, and how they don't usually collapse all at once. They erode quietly. They weaken when listening disappears. They break when disagreement turns into distrust. And when people stop believing their voice matters at all. Today, that conversation comes home here to Mangum, not as a debate, not as a campaign stop, but as a moment to listen to people who have stepped forward when stepping forward costs something. This show stays exactly what it has always been, Open Mic Friday. Unscripted, of course, as always, no filters, never. Certainly no dodging. But today, instead of talking about leadership, we're talking with it. One voice at a time. We're opening the show with Mary Jane Scott, and I want to be very clear about why. Mary Jane's story is not just one of public service. It's one of continuity, of staying, of showing up again and again through education, city government, faith, loss, and responsibility. She also has lived the arc of this town, not from the outside looking in, but from the inside, carrying the weight most people never even see. She has taught our kids, led our schools, served our city commission, served as mayor, married a husband, and I just learned also a brother, both of who she loved very deeply, and still stayed rooted right here. So the question we'll explore with Mary Jane, those questions are not political sound bites, they're human discussions. What does leadership look like when you actually know the people affected by your decisions? Think about that difference. How do you govern in a season where trust is really thin and patience is even thinner? What have we lost in public life? And what is still worth protecting? And how do you lead when grief, faith, and responsibility all occupy the same space? These are some of the things that I think we're going to ponder during these next bits of time. This is not about perfection. It's about stewardship. And after Mary Jane opens this conversation, we'll continue our open mic format as always. Bring in your questions, your reflections, your lived experience before closing the show with an advanced preview of what we'll have on Monday with Cooper Earls. Because leadership doesn't only come from legacy. Sometimes it comes from a calling. Sometimes it comes from service interrupted, redirected, but not abandoned. And Cooper's story reminds us of that. So stay with us, ask real questions, listen generously. And remember, discomfort is not a flaw in a conversation like this. You know what it is? It's often the sound of listening returning. So let's begin. Mary Jane, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing really good.
I am glad to hear that. I cannot believe this. I'm really kind of shocked by this. We normally get several hundred people on at least, and sometimes more. But this early, we've already got 200 people here. Say hi to everybody.
Hey,
210 people.
wow.
Oh, yeah, I know. I mean, this was now I have done a lot of outreach to people and so forth, but I'm really wow. I'm really excited. I was thinking there might be 5, 10 coming on at this point, and then building up a little bit. But so enough of that. What about you? What's going on with you? What's your story? How? So we know you're running for mayor. The special election's coming up on Tuesday. What is that? The 11th, I think.
10th.
10th, the 10th, yeah. And which I'm proud that I'm going to be able to vote I'm registered here and everything. I'm official. And so I'll get to vote in the election as well. But so you're running for mayor and you've held this position before. Oh, wow. Questions are already coming in. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. We got some good ones. So anyway, my question is, so what brought you, what we're here to know more about Mary Jane. And obviously with everything I said earlier on, you're very well known in this town because of you constantly showing up and this town needs strong leadership. Talk to me about you.
Well, I've lived here, of course, my whole life, so I've had a desire and a need to do what I can for the citizens of my town. I love this town. I remember riding my bicycle to Edison Elementary School when the old elementary school was still here. I remember sliding down that fire escape. It's just wonderful memories of this community. Uh,
It's
and
awesome here.
Yes, and then, I never dreamed about wanting to get into education as far as teaching and stuff, but that's what it I ended up going into and taught at Duke Public Schools. Loved that place for 12 years and then came to Mangum, finished my career with 40 years in education, uh,
Wow.
10 years as an assistant superintendent and, 12 years as a junior high principal. So I knew a lot of the kids, the things going on here, the goodness in people, the big hearts they have. Oh my gosh, when it comes to doing something for the school system, I mean, this people in this town are just overpouring and helping out when we need something going on.
I've
Um,
already seen that. I've only been here 5 months and I'm already seeing exactly what you're talking about.
yes, I mean, they have, we do need to get some more younger people involved in a lot of our community actions
Oh, hold on.
because,
Hold on.
well, okay, what?
This question just came in. So combine this question with what you're talking about right now, which is from Brandon. Mary Jane, what advice would you give future leaders in Mangum? So yes, we do need to bring younger voices in. Absolutely. So you were just saying that, and that question came in right when you started. So why don't you combine those two together?
Yes, well, the future,
Great question.
yes, and it's because I keep telling people too. I said, I am old, and we
I know that feeling.
with the type of social media and things that are going on in our world today, it's different, Rod, when you and I were young. And
100%.
they don't communicate like they used to. So we need to get our kids to where they're socializing more among themselves. And the future leaders in Mangum need to be able to reach out and know that people need to know they can come to them if they have a
Mm-hmm.
question, a desire, some concern. And they also need to know they can go to the city. They can go to the city and call and say, hey, this is wrong or that's wrong or whatever, instead of just getting on social media and complaining about it. So we need to work for our kids to get together. Our future leaders need to be able to listen and to try to direct what needs to be done to get a situation solved. I mean,
Yeah,
it can't always be solved.
absolutely true. And added to the fact of social media, which you're right, the kids, that's we talk a lot about that on this show. I'm glad you brought it up, because there is that. I mean, the ability to get information quickly and from broad ranges like we've never been able to do before is the good side of what's happening with all this kind of stuff. The bad side is exactly what you just said. I'll give you an example. My youngest, I raised 5 boys. The fifth one, my youngest, from a second relationship, I raised her kids with me, right? But he one day he was in high school. This is when I was still in Chicago, and I was making something for lunch or something in the kitchen, and our living room was off of that, basically off to my left here, and they had the baseball game on. I think it was a World Series game or something, but they had that on, and there were like 4 or 5 of them sitting there on the couch, and they were all looking at their phones, side by side, all looking at their phones. And I looked over and I was there for a little while, and I said, "Hey, Matt, why don't you guys talk to each other? You guys are hanging out, you're watching the game." And he looks over at me and he looks at his friends and he looks back at me and goes, "We are talking to each other." My God, they were sitting there talking to each other through like Snapchat, or I don't know which one it was, but you're so right. That's the downside of what what all this is all about. And we're dealing with that. Now add AI into that, and it's all even moving faster, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Let me come back here to this one. So Randall says, what inspired Mary Jane, you obviously, to keep showing up after such personal loss? I mean, obviously he was listening to monologue. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Because that's sometimes, fight or flight kind of circumstances come up at times, and to be able to hang on and be here with the memories you opened up with are all the good ones, but there's also a lot of things that built you to become you, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you that my husband was really big into politics or helping out. He was really big into the Oklahoma Arts Institute, and he was on the board of trustees assigned by Governor Stitt way back when. And then whenever he passed, then the governor, not Stitt, but the governor, Fallon, appointed me in his position. So I served in a state position there for a while. And it's just been a privilege for people to know our little town and what it provides and what we can do for other people. Yes, do we need to improve? You darn right we do. Do we need to get businesses in here? Yes, we certainly do. We need to figure out how that's going to happen, and we need to do it together as a group, not complaining to each other. But I love working for the people, and I'm one of these people that don't let things. When you say something bad about me, okay, that's your opinion, and that's okay. And I will never look down on you. Will never disrespect you. I had somebody post something one time years ago horrible about me, and I'm like, I saw him at church about 2 or 3 weeks later, and hey, we're good. You just cannot let things like that bother you. But I want the best for our community and to do what we can to make Mangum grow, because we've got to grow. We've got to get some more people in here.
We do.
We do.
Yeah, I think we're at aren't we kind of a little bit of the lowest population? I mean, it's been declining for a little bit here, much smaller than it was a decade ago, obviously, right? And I think in the 50s was the heyday where it was the biggest part of the town, and that's different. But you mentioned small town. And I want to tie with Michelle here, what she's asking about, with my part of my opening monologue, where you brought it up. You've got to we look at each other. There's only so much grocery stores in town, and there's Friday football game, or you're going to see people. There's only so many aisles, and you're going to see people day in and day out. So what's it like, knowing that the decisions you make are affecting people that directly, versus say in Chicago, where it's just a whole different world, right? But you're making decisions that are for people you've never ever met and likely never will. We're talking millions of people, right? Here, you're going to run into them day in and day out. So how does that feeling? You've been here, done that. You know the answer to this. You've lived it. It's your lived experience. Tie that in with Michelle here, as far as what systems can small towns put in place to encourage dialogue, just like what you just talked about. We got to start talking with each other more.
I think that mostly what they've got to have is they've got to have some town hall meetings and some, I think every so often it needs to have a meeting to where people can come. And we do have at our city hall meetings, we have, 2 to 3 minutes. Anybody can stand up and say anything they want for 2 to 3 minutes.
Each person. Yep.
Each person. If there's 100 people there, then we will have to stay there until they all 100 get done.
That's great.
But the thing is, people don't want to do that. They want to do more stuff online instead of in person. And we want
How do you
to.
think we can? How do you think we can? Is that's a result of today's society, not just young kids necessarily, but also being more bold behind a keyboard instead of face to face. And that this is still, again, this is still part of the problem, because we shout past each other and we hide behind these. Right? We hide behind these.
When I was junior high principal, I would have parents who would post stuff. When I first found out about Facebook, I didn't even know it. They would post stuff, and I would actually call them up and say, "Hey, would you like to come in and let us talk? I didn't know anything about this." Just because they weren't comfortable, they weren't used to talking to somebody in person.
Yeah, and that's something that's not taught today. In this arc that I'm on, it's funny that we're kind of leaning into this part of the conversation, but in this current arc that we're on, as far as what we're doing in our Substack and on the in the newspaper, is about the educational system now is not teaching people how to think. That the whole thing is in schools now is about learning how to take tests. And then there's some other stuff that isn't really beneficial, but we won't get into that side of stuff. But the issue is that people are not learning how to think, like, logically, and how to listen, because conversations that have discord in them. In other words, I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying there. Let's talk about this and let's get down to and that's what keeps us all apart. And honestly, that's the goal of any government, divide and conquer, right? So the more that that breaks down in our societies and the next generations, the more that happens, the dumber they get. And when I say that, it gave examples of the stuff that's going on in the streets, not only across our country but across the world, where people have discord about something, and all they do is just repeat and regurgitate. They're not critically thinking about, from both sides, about what that issue is and what's the results of that. And tied with that, they're not listening to the other side about what they may be able to receive. That system is working for a society that isn't able to get power from where they need it from. those systems putting place to encourage dialogue is across the world, much less the nation, much less here in Mangum. You gave me an example of that earlier when we were talking on the phone earlier today.
Yeah.
How do we put these systems in place in a town like this? What does that look like, do you think?
You know, it just goes back to people getting together.
So town halls, as well as any other, I mean, should we do some stuff online kind of stuff more? Or what do you think that some possibilities may be?
The hardest thing is like you don't have people, the older people, when you, and I'm not going to tell
There
you
you
what
go.
age the older starts. Okay, I'm not going to tell you that
Mhm.
age. Uh, they they don't use Facebook. They don't use all that stuff. And how do they know what's going on? And used to, I remember our newspaper was came out. We had to have everything done on Monday morning or whatever day, and it was out the next
Monday
day.
by 10.
Yeah.
Oh, out the next day?
Oh, it was out. Yeah, literally. If they did it that
Wow.
morning, it was out that evening or that next morning. So, well, 24 hours. Let's just say the next day. Yeah. That was,
Now it's
I'm talking about 50 years ago.
oh, okay. Yeah. Now it's like 4 days, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
got to have it in by Monday at 10, and then it comes out very early on Friday, digitally at least.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So a couple other things here I want to kind of see if we can kind of scan through here. How can education better prepare students for civic responsibility? And this is kind of what we're talking about. And you've got education is a huge background in what
Yes.
makes you up.
One of the things that I always thought was important for students was being a part of their community. So our kids in Mangum Public Schools already participate in different activities and things and help support different organizations. This city is so supportive of our fairgrounds and our FFA,
Ah,
all of that, all of our basketball, our wrestling, our football. It's just softball. We are so supportive of all of our kids and what they're doing and everything. And but we've got to get we are already there are teachers already that are showing them their civic duties. And a lot of times when they apply for grants and awards and things like that, they have to show where they have done just volunteer work for different organizations. They have to show how many hours they worked, what they did, and then they get these grants and stuff for college scholarships. Um, so it's how important it is to me. If they don't see their parents doing that, it's really hard for them to see it. So I want to encourage parents as well as students to get out and volunteer and help. I had a friend, a person, not necessarily a friend, one time complain about being here in Mangum. And I said, well, are you a member of a church? No. Are you a member of so-and-so organization? No. Are you a member of this? I said, well, so how are you supposed to meet anybody if you don't get out and see people?
right.
So
It's funny how people will project out um, their discomfort, and you start asking them questions. Oh, did we lose you? You're still there, but your picture is off. I don't know if you can hear me, Mary Jane. So I don't know. She's on an iPad, so I don't know if just something popped off or if she's lost the connection. I'll take her off stage here until I can see her pop back in. So some of the things we're talking about, and that she was talking about, and some of the things that I think that can really be done is, like she said, uh, do more volunteer work. What happens when the civic service is no longer valued? Oh, that's interesting. That's a good question, Dennis. I just see this question here come up. What happens when civic service is no longer valued? Terrific question, Dennis. And and the problem here comes from multiple directions, in my opinion. Hey, Mary Jane, if you can hear me, if you can leave and then come back in, maybe you can reset your system. So leave the studio and then come back in. Hopefully that'll work for you. Let me do this. There we go. As you see, we have the logo for the Mangum City Library here today. We got some great questions here. I can see her screen going back and forth between. So I think she's there. I don't know how to take her out, so to speak. But some of the things that we're talking about and I really we were just getting into the school system, and it's a fascinating period in time that we are in, because if we understand what's happening right now, okay? So as the world moves faster and faster, AI now, and AI's been around for a long time. I mean, Google is AI, right? So let me get that over here so I can see her. If we understand here that society has been developing, human society, human beings. I got my political shirt on. We the people today. See, we the people. Oh, it's over here. We the people. Here it is. If we understand that with AI moving at the accelerated speeds that it is, we can see that life is changing and evolving dramatically and rapidly. Mary Jane, can you talk to see if your mic's at least on? I can see it move if you talk. I don't know. I think our system just went out or something. So the one thing that hasn't kept up, so industries kept up, manufacturing, kept up, keeps up, farming, all the infrastructures basically for keeping the people, the citizens of America, and by extension the world, comfortable, safe. The society is growing at a pace, right? Industrial revolution. We went from horse and buggy to cars in the early days, not so much. Into the planes, then the spaceships, advanced weapons that we saw in Venezuela, are hearing rumors of that are amazing technology-wise, are amazing structures that have been developed. So society, the human being, the human experiences is moving along as society moves along. But then there's this thing called the educational system that probably hasn't advanced since the 50s. I think is probably the height of the educational system. And that's a very, very, very dangerous thing. And we're seeing it. We're seeing the results of it now. We're starting to see it as society is literally eroded. And when I say eroding, what I mean by that is look at what's happening in the streets and look at when people face off. This is not about anything other than a fractured system where people no longer listen to each other, and discord, disagreeing with somebody is considered now an attack. Okay, so why is that happening, right? Why is that happening? And yes, we've had civil discourse in the past, but it has always been a certain group. Vietnam is a great example, right? That was a very traumatic time, and a lot of bad things happened, and there was a lot of discourse and discord and blood in the streets, fires, and everything else. Anyway, all of that was never a good thing, but it was a people, the population going out against the government. Now, here, granted, you have a group of people going out against ICE, but what you have is you have the inability to have a conversation with somebody who thinks differently than you do. Because and I'll get back to the school system, but what turns when you don't have that education or that ability to think and listen, these are things that are practiced and learned. They're not natural, right? When you don't have that, when that breaks down, then only the loudest, most radical voices are heard. And when that happens, then people become ideological, meaning government politics is an idea. It's not an ideology. When it becomes an ideology for you, then anything that is said against that ideology is looked at and conceived as an attack. It's not a disagreement anymore. It's an attack. And I believe this is a derivative of education. And the reason is because now without these tools that human beings should be able to bring to the forefront from their own lived experience. School systems are supposed to be a structure, a framework, a place where people go and debate ideas and learn and grow from that. Well, our school system is we could say what we want one way or the other, good or bad, as far as the basic math, science, English, history, those 4 core subjects. There needs to be a 5th one, and let's just call it life. I talk about this every once in a while on this show, and it's why the Regeneration School Project exists. It's not why. Actually, Emma Lynn, my granddaughter, and Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rod, the show that's normally on Saturdays. So we're taking a break for a little while so she can get adjusted in her lifestyle that she's living now as a high schooler and teenager and making her way through with her first new job. And she's boxing now and then of course having a life beyond that. So the school system breakdown, I'm going to turn a little bit here on this. I think that one, it's poorly done. 2, this 5th core needs to be like I said, needs to be life, or that's a placeholder name, but it needs to be able to, as they go through school, prepare them for life. Meaning the financial stuff, the mental health issues to recognize and self heal yourself, right? I think a lot of society's issues also come from the memories of childhood and parents that don't have maybe enough tools to raise kids in a way that raises them most beneficial for them, preparing them for life. And then on top of that, the school systems are totally abandoning them. So like I said in the monologue, we're abandoning our kids. We're not just failing them, we're abandoning them. And what I mean by abandoning them is we're giving them stuff before we build them from the inside out. And so when they get to adulthood, they're now walking into it blind. They've got all the fun, shiny objects that growing up with, but they don't have the tools to step into adulthood, to step into life without being blind. They're walking into that completely blind. And that's the issue that we have in today's society, because that inability to logically and critically think, coupled with that lack of ability to be able to listen and stay human when you have a disagreement. That all comes out of having an intellectual level that isn't even meeting the basic. You can be the smartest person in the world. Well, okay, you can be smart at your job or at whatever, and if you don't have that skill set to be able to listen to somebody and stay human when there's a disagreement, that's a lack of intelligence, and that's a core subject that needs to be part of the Mangum school system. I was telling Mary Jane earlier. God, we've got over 300 people on. I was telling Mary Jane earlier that 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 the school systems, when you don't have that basic, where we are now. So we're at a spot in time right now that's actually very dangerous. And when you don't have that basic skill set, and we see it all over, and the problem is the news medias are using this to amplify it, whether it's greed or whether it's something bigger, like the political parties keeping us down, right? The man keeping us down. We don't get a handle on this. Our systems are already fracturing it. I mean, we're talking about government officials trying to get police forces to fight against each other. I mean, what the hell is that? And the problem is that, and when I bring in the media, I can't tell as much what this is about. Maybe it's a combination of things, but they're driving us apart constantly by amplifying the radicals, basically normalizing Antifa to a degree, and then the other side firing up about that. Now what happens is we're just adopting an opinion given to us by the media. This is where, if you look at it, point after point after point after point after point after point, I mean, everywhere, it's right there in front of our eyes, and we don't talk about that very much. I don't know if we're going to get Mary Jane back on. She hasn't disconnected, so I'm not quite sure what she's doing yet. So I'm going to skip over this one because, I mean, civic service right now, and Dennis, he was asking that because the question Mary Jane, or the comment Mary Jane was making at the time, which was people need to volunteer more and get involved and learn about the town by being involved, and of course meeting other people. Okay. Did you get it all sorted out there?
I think so.
Well, you're back on. You're back. I was just going over this one from Dennis, who asked this question right when you were making that point about you were talking to somebody and they said, "Well, I want to get out of Mangum," and you were saying, "Well, do you volunteer? Do you do this? Are you meeting people?" And so I thought this was a pretty good comment that he made, or a question that he had here. What happens when civic service is no longer valued? And I think that kind of leans into what you were talking about that person that was just like, "Oh, I'm just going to complain. I'm not going to actually show up."
Yeah. People that just, I think that we've got to make it a super mission to say that we're not going to lose our civic service. We have to believe that, because you can say whatever you want to say and it not be true. So civic service, I hope, will always be valued. And I hope we never have to deal with the comment that it is no longer valued. What happens? I don't want to know what happens. I don't want to see it happen. There are so many people in not just our little town, but our world that are wonderful, giving, loving. I mean, if you get sick in this little town, there are so many people that will provide you food and blankets or whatever it is you need. I mean, you just like that, and you've got people that are going to come and help you uh, do something here in town. And most of the time, they know you, and then sometimes
Yeah.
they'll say, can I bring you something or whatever. When I broke my ankle here in November, I mean, I said, you guys got to stop. I mean, I said, I'm only one person and I can only eat so much.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a tight knit, smaller type community, isn't it?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
so Mike here makes a great question here. This was on from an earlier comment. What moments tested your endurance as a leader the most? And you have plenty of experience in different positions as a leader here in Mangum.
Yeah, what's tested my endurance? A lot of that
Or
is
your patience, or even your patience.
it's just your personality, Rod. It's your how you handle things
Oh,
and how you look at them. It's like I said before, when people say something negative, I I have just learned I do not take it personal. I don't. And if I have so many friends that'll say, "Oh, well, so and so said this and so said that," and I'm like, "Why do you care? Let
yeah,
them say it." You know.
yeah.
And then you go on. You love the Lord. You be with the Lord, and you do His bidding, and you're good.
Let's pivot a little bit here back to what you were talking about when you were talking about this came in when you were talking about we need to get the younger minds involved, and active and together, and not just on social media. So John here asks the question: how can young people get involved in local leadership effectively? Not just spend time, but like get involved. How do you do that? Well, we have somebody running this election, Cooper. He's 19, so obviously there's that. But even I think you can start maybe even, especially here in town, maybe even in 16 and up, right? If you get younger than that, and then maturity is a little different. But I think. What do you think? How can they get involved in local leadership effectively, even at younger ages?
Well, I think our school is doing a good job, and I've said that before about getting
Yes.
them participating in different organizations and applying for grants and stuff from banks and different things. The other ones to get them involved, you got to they've got to have a mindset and a purpose of what they want, and we need to let them know how important some of these, well, like our city, you know, doing streets and doing picking up the snow and all of that stuff. They don't understand how they don't even think about that, and they shouldn't have to think about it at a young age. But to get people involved in our service, part of it is you got to have that in your heart. You got to have that wanting to do that in your heart,
Kind of comes
and
from home too, doesn't it? Kind of
it
what
does.
you said earlier about kids and parents. Kids learn more from watching you than they do from you giving them whatever this or whatever, do this or do that. Kids watch all the time and they see how you react and how you act, and that builds a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, and when my mom passed away, you don't know how many little old ladies came up to you and says, "Your
Mm,
mom always helped me, and she never charged me anything." And one of
mm.
them I knew real well one time, and I said, "That's why she never had a lot of money."
Yeah, and she was honored by the governor of the state, right? She spent her whole life in law, right?
From
Wow,
1947 on,
wow.
she was one of three. It was either three or four women in 1947 who took the law exam, passed it, and she got a law license. She did not have a law degree because she couldn't afford to go to college. So she did what they called write for the law, which she did all this stuff here in Mangum, sent it in to OU. They let her take the test, and she has a law license, not a law degree.
Oh. There's no difference in acting in the. It's just once you get to that point, there's different paths, but then it's all the same, right?
Yeah,
Wow, that's fascinating. That's
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 1946, one of three. That's amazing.
1947. She got it in 47.
47. That's fascinating. Very, very interesting. Let's again pivot a little bit. There's different questions about different things here. And how are you doing on time, by the way?
I'm fine.
Okay. So Justina, what's the first step in restoring listening in fractured communities? And I think that's really important here. These are all, if you notice, these are all kind of questions about that are building to what we talk a lot about on the show, and it's people coming together, which is the opposite's happening. And while you were gone, I don't know if you could hear me in any of that, but
I couldn't hear anything. I don't know
you had a black screen every once in a while to go blue and then go back to black because something weird was happening. But when I was talking about during that when you were during that time, how we're at a point now where you've got all this chaos across the country, and really you can go back to Vietnam. We're younger, but obviously during that time you remember what happened, but there was chaos in the street. But at that time it was a unified group fighting this thing they didn't believe in. And here it's the people are now starting to fight each other. I mean, Antifa is becoming normalized, and the radicals are basically running the storylines, and this is what's pulling us further and further and further apart and putting us in boxes. Men and women, skin tone, religious. They break us up into these, and then they throw shiny objects out there so that we can just continue to fight amongst ourselves instead of getting transparency from the government. And that's because people aren't listening, right? There's that art is not, and we went into the school systems, that's not being taught to not only just think critically. Wait, does that make sense? Or does that? So instead now what we're doing is we're taking a comment and we're just repeating it, we regurgitate.
Right.
We're not being curious about it. And then beyond that, there's a discord about it. How do we stay human and still have a disagreement with somebody so it doesn't break down into, what it is now? There's ideology, right? Politics is supposed to be an idea. When it becomes an ideology, then any disagreement then becomes a disagreement about who you are. And that's a dangerous place to be, because now any kind of disagreement is considered an attack. And we need this more now than ever, all across the country. And even in this little town, there's that not wanting to find out about something, just bitching about it. Right?
That's my whole
You
thing.
brought that up. That's the biggest thing that you're
That's
most
the biggest
interested
thing.
in here.
Don't believe it until you know it's true. And then how do you know it's true? That's a good question.
Yeah. You talk about it. You do research, maybe even. We this show started a year and a half ago. Okay, on Constitution Day, actually, we're choosing between Grandparents' Day or Constitution Day, and we went with Constitution Day because it was September 7th. But during the very beginning of the show, especially, we really started working on things called like watch parties, and what that is. That concept is just exact, and it's not a new name or anything, but people that disagree with each other should be getting together and talking about items, things. Town halls are awesome, but town halls are me and you, the mayor. I'm sitting in an audience of 25, 50 people, whatever, and we're having that town hall. But people need to also have watch parties. And so producer Barbie moved back out to California. That's where we're all from. She moved back out to California about a year and a half, about a year ago, well, a little less than a year ago. And they started a little watch party thing. And it's amazing how it's kind of grown in California, which is interesting because they talk about the bills or, what's on the ballot for voting and they read through it, but they did their research. And then there's people that were disagreeing about things. And you know what? They both learned something. And that's what's important about listening in fractured communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. And listening and knowing, don't repeat it unless you know it's the truth.
Yeah. Gossip is a human flaw, right?
It's just caused so much, people, it causes them so much pain and hurt and just can't do that. But I have friends. I mean, if you said one negative thing, they would just like,
They
that's,
ruin their whole
yeah, that's just,
face, right?
they're very sensitive, but that's okay. But, we do, I think the majority of the people in this town want the best for this town. And I think that the majority of the people, we need to get out there, like we've said before, showing the younger kids how we need to progress and not being negative. And that's what my biggest deal is now is people are so negative. Instead of okay, they want to gripe. Okay, I understand, but let's get to the next step. Instead of just griping, let's get to the next step.
Yeah, I mean, the griping doesn't really do any. I mean, sure, you feel better, your feelings are expressed, but really rolling up the sleeves and digging in is the important thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's in politics right now. You see on the news and all that, people are saying, "Hey, look, if you don't like the law, go out and change it. Run for office or get whatever. Support somebody and change it instead of all this stuff that's going on." Let me ask you this. Juan's got a question here for you, Mary Jane. Why don't you read that one? Why don't you read that?
It says, Mary Jane, how did grief influence your public service approach? Well, first of all, I always had a little bit of a public a deal to do this public service. Even before I married my husband who passed. But he and his family were big into our community and donated all kinds of money and things to help improve our city, and his family did. But as far as the grief, I wanted to continue his role as a trustee for the Oklahoma Arts Institute. So I did do that because I want to continue his service. And we did that until the state of Oklahoma took over the trustees. They took that over, and so they closed that out. But I always enjoyed serving. I did.
And I assume that's part of, like we talked about, every moment of every day that's come together to bring you to who you are today, right? And going through loss kind of opens up another area within people's philosophy in how they want to approach this or that, right? I mean, I assume that there's a little bit of a softening, which is important, a softening in your approach to life in general. And there could be the other side, which is why me? Why did this happen to me? What you're talking about now, that complaining instead of doing, and I assume that also fueled some of your activity and I mean to carry on what your husband was doing is obviously something that's also keeping you in connection with him, right? But also I assume that you have the ability to to, that experience with your brother as well, and then your mom, those losses and how you talked about it, that does shape a person's personality as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go ahead. Were you going to say something there?
No, just my public service I thought was really over this time. I never thought I'd be running this last. And one
What
of the
was that
things,
story you told me? There was a bunch of people hounding on you.
I'm not going to say that.
All right, we'll keep that one in the green room. How can education? Education here again. Obviously, it's a center of where your involvement in Mangum started, and then developed fast through that. Prepare students for civic responsibility. So I think the home has something to do with that, because parents are passing on part of who they are, right? And I think also that education, we do a lot with education on this show, and there's so many things to get into. But how do you think you said already, a Mangum school system does a great job with this. Expand on that.
I know what they do is they there's different organizations within the school that the kids join, and part of them, it's from the home ec part to what I used to call home ec, right?
We were around when it was called home ec back then. I know what you're
Yes.
saying.
Oh my gosh, yes, and out in the FFA room and all of that stuff. But they are teaching these kids and showing these kids where participating in different organizations helps promote the community. And they're doing that, the school is doing that through, like I said, these organizations and letting them participate. But if they are if they are a student at Mangum Schools and they don't want to participate in any of this stuff, then that's kind of hard, because then they're not seeing what they need to be doing for their community. But Mangum is really good about giving them that opportunity to say, hey, look, this is something you can do. When you grow up, this is something that you need to be thinking about doing. But between our different vocational programs that we have are excellent programs, and we have excellent vocational teachers and stuff that are teaching kids beyond math, science, and history how to live your life, how to do the right thing.
That is awesome. And you know what else that does is, I think that also gives kids an experience of what actually is here. What is our town? What are the opportunities? The more you getting involved in stuff like that, it just opens little doors further and further out, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does, and that's what's important. And
Very much important.
yeah, it is. It is.
Can you believe we've already been going an hour?
An hour?
The young lady, we're right at an hour. We've got 350 people on listening to you.
I think I told you 20 minutes, didn't I?
You told me, I asked you if we could go there, and you were like, the less the better. I'll go with 20 if that's what we got to do. But you were saying less is more. It's 59 minutes and 56, 57, 58, 59, 1 hour. How about that, young lady? And 350 people.
Wow.
So do you have, there's a couple other things, and there were a couple little, you see, there's a lot of questions here. You can see it down in your, but there's some Cooper ones, and I'll handle that. But anything we've missed that you want to bring up, like you want to leave your fans? You got a fan club going here, girl. Any lasting thought you want to leave for anybody, and then they'll give you a wave. I'll throw you in the green room, and I'll come visit you back in a minute. Or
well, what I want to say is that all of you people that are on this right now, thank you for showing that attention. And that is so important for you to even be listening to this. And
Yeah.
we are a small town. We we don't have a lot of money, and it's like everything else I've always said, if you got money, you're okay, right?
Right.
If I won the lottery, see, I kept thinking I was going to win that lottery, and I was going to give the city of Mangum about $10 million so we could redo our streets and stuff.
You know what? What is up with that damn street thing? It's terrible. You talked about the snow. That was horrible. It was around twice as long as it should have been.
hmm Well, what the deal is, and most people I think kind of understand this, is that how often do you have that and
Oh yeah.
that type of
Yeah.
snow on there? And are you going to sit around and have $2 million worth of trucks to move that when you don't use it, but maybe once a year, maybe? Or
Right.
so people do, I think, understand that we don't have a lot of equipment, but we are using every piece of equipment that we own, and every person is out there doing what they can do to get the roads cleared. And you don't know how many times I've said,
Good
I've
point.
had one person complain about, well, you cleaned this street, but you didn't clean that street, or and it'll
I
all
don't know
get
if I've
done.
noticed that.
It'll all get
Yeah.
done.
And the other thing is with the roads and the shit that they are, it's not as easy. Like I come from Chicago, where it's a different story, right? It's a totally different story, which I'm
My
glad I'm here, not there.
my son lives in
What?
Frankfurt.
Oh, he does? Oh, I'm from Naperville.
Oh, I know where Naperville is.
Yeah, yeah, very close to Frankfurt. Just
Mhm.
south of Frankfurt's just
Yeah.
south. As a matter of fact, I used to do a lot of business. I built a machinery business over 30 years from Chicago. Then I had some factories help me to open up a shop out in Chicago because that's where most manufacturing is. California's not exactly manufacturing anymore. Um, it used to be awesome, but anyway, so in Chicago they've got all that going on, but the roads, those scrapers, they kill the streets, and so there's a
Tear-
lot of street
yeah,
work,
tears up that
so it's hard.
asphalt.
It's hard, and yeah, and out here some of the roads are not they need a lot of work. The roads are
Oh, they
probably the
do.
biggest. Yeah,
It
that's the biggest.
is. It is. And like what does it cost? I don't know what it costs now, but it's
It's a
probably $1 million
million bucks
a
per
mile.
mile
That's what I was
for a
thinking.
freeway. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
people,
it's
you just think
expensive as
about that.
hell.
And I want people to say, okay, think about how far it is from the beginning of Lewis Tittle, where the armory is, up to where the Dollar General store is. That's probably, what do you think? At least 2 or 3 miles. So
I
you're
gotta
talking
say
about
it's
three
got to be
million
two,
dollars. Yeah.
just for one road. That's just the one road, and all the side streets. Lewis Tittle isn't that bad anyway.
No, Lewis,
No.
because it's state. No, and the reason why is because that's state. That's a state highway. But it's when you get
Oh,
in. Yeah, yeah.
interesting. I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. That's why that's
Lewis
always
Tittle is,
the
yeah, okay. Always
that's the
wondered that.
main
Lewis Tittle
highway.
is
That's
this. Yeah, I knew
287.
that,
Yeah,
but that's state.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. Well, at least we got a state highway coming through us.
yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you on a side note. Not quite personal, but the other day so Lewis Tittle probably up around, I think it's Pennsylvania. You know where Pennsylvania is, right? And then Oklahoma. But I think in that area over by, I don't know what the street is, but you know where that old 76, or not 76, the one with the star gas station that's
Oh,
abandoned out
yeah,
there?
yeah.
There's a kind of a half buried train track out there. Was there a train that went through town here,
hmm
like for grain or something? Oh, because
Yes,
that's all grain or gravel or something over there.
yes, yes. And there was oh, right on the edge of town, we had train tracks that came through.
Really?
You know where the when you're going out towards Altus and you have the low housing rent there,
Yeah.
right there, um, on that street used to be a train station. That was a train station.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That was
And
back when obviously a lot more people. What was it for? Just people, or was it
well, it was
products?
it was products mostly. It was products.
Gotcha.
They had wheat and everything out at the big barns,
Ah,
and
yeah.
they were hauling wheat in, and that's one
Ah, dang it.
why
Oh, there you are. I
it
lost you for a minute. Right after the
we
wheat. Right
are
after wheat.
considered. We have a hospital because we have a train track within, is it 40 or 50, 30, 40 miles of uh, our town. We can have a hospital and we get help having that hospital because we follow those rules on that.
Interesting.
And that's the only reason why.
Having a,
Oh my gosh, I can't hear you again. Oh
oh, you
no.
can't hear me?
Oh no. What's wrong?
Your mic is on. Your mic is on.
Oh no.
Nope. I lost the picture.
Okay,
Okay,
there it
now are
goes.
you good? You good? Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
because what I was just saying is right when you said they were hauling in wheat, you went out. You went
Oh,
dark for a couple seconds. So could you re-say what that was? That's fascinating.
yes.
So to have a
So,
train track, you can have a hospital.
yeah.
All of that. Say that again, would you?
Okay. Okay. It's called critical access. Critical
Okay.
access is a term used by the government or the medical that if you live within if your town is in a certain distance of a train track, then you can you can have a hospital, but it's called a critical access hospital. It's limited to what it can
Wow.
do, but you can still have that hospital there and have government support to run the hospital.
And why is that? Do you know?
Well,
Why is that?
you just
Why the
think of
train
it.
track?
Yeah, just think about it. If a big train, and back then they had big old trains. If they had a big
Oh,
train coming through and it stopped, you couldn't get to the hospital.
oh. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So they had it fixed to where you have on either side of the track, you'll have access to a hospital.
And is that the same track that I was talking about just now? Because it's not on Lewis Tittle. It's off. It's a
It's
couple
off,
streets up.
right?
But it's that train track that you were talking about that goes out.
Yeah, it came through Mangum and then it swung around and yeah, it came, it
How
came,
long ago did that stop?
oh my gosh, years and years.
Really?
I
Huh.
can't remember. I can't remember. It's been a long time that it's been in the 80s, probably in the 80s, 70s or 80s.
Wow,
I
that
can't
is a
remember.
long time.
We were
That
critical
is a long
access.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a
All
long
right, my
time.
friend. What do you want to what do you want to reclose? Because we're going to close, and then you said a couple of fascinating things, and I like. Wait a minute. I want to hear more. What do you want to leave everybody with?
I want to leave everybody with the fact that there are people in this town who care about this town and they care about you. And I just want you to know that I'm here if you want to talk to me. Uh, if you even want to gripe at me, I'll listen. I may not listen at you cussing me on the phone, but I would listen to you. Uh, and I just want you to know that I'm here to support you. I'm here to be what I can to help, do what I can to help. Um, and I just wish everybody the best.
That is awesome. Great show today. Great job. Obviously, a lot of people very interested, still hanging out, listening to what you got going on. Remember, this is for the 10th, February 10th, next week, Tuesday. And we've got more people coming on right now. That's funny. But at the end of the day, we got a little bit to know you a little bit better. I got to know you even more than I have. I've known you for a little bit now, and I'm very grateful for that relationship. You're an awesome person. You're an impressive person. It's not the first time I've said that, and I appreciate your time. Why don't you give everybody a wave, and I'll wrap her up here.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you all.
You bet. Yeah, everybody. We just had 30 more people come on. Sorry, guys, we're kind of wrapping a little bit here. But as I told you before, I am going to bring Cooper on Monday. He had a cow issue. I don't think I told you guys this yet, but he had a big cow issue. It looks like we got some more comments. Hold on. Jim Carrey, how can leaders stay human while carrying responsibility? I think we got you already on that one, Jim. I appreciate the comment. That's awesome. But as far as leaders can stay human while carrying responsibility, hey, Mary, raise your hand. Do you want to answer one more question? I know you already. All right. All right. So, Mary Jane, you've given 3 closing statements now, but people keep coming on. And so Jim Carrey here, which I love the name. Look at that. I wonder if that's the Jim Carrey, right? It kind of looks a little, right? How can leaders stay human while carrying responsibility? And the only reason I brought you back on, because we've kind of chatted about this a little bit, but actually, when you look at it, leaders need to be human, right? And you're carrying weight, like I said in the opening monologue, that most people don't even see. So that's a balance. So how do you stay human while still carrying so much responsibility? And with this mayorship, however it goes, but let's say you're mayor in a week. How do you carry that?
The responsibility and everything, if you don't feel like that's something that you can handle, you wouldn't be something you would be progressing or seeking. Carrying responsibility is not an easy task, but then a lot of times it is something that you can do if your personality is that way. And it's like I said before, you have to look at things a certain way. You cannot take everything personally and get upset and all that kind of stuff, but you got to look at the whole picture. It's hard carrying that responsibility.
It is.
And it just, if you have that feeling in you and your heart is there, then you yourself know it. Will you know it? Probably not. You won't know until you see what I do or I don't do. But, I hope I'm always human.
Yeah, well, obviously you are, because these people will not frickin' leave us alone. Maria Puentes. Mary, you read it. She's talking to you, not me.
Yeah,
they don't even want to talk to me. We got another 100 people that just jumped on.
Oh my
I don't know
God.
what's going on, girl. I don't know what's going on.
She
but
says,
Maria Puentes. Oh no, there's another one. Okay, go ahead.
Well, this one says, what Mary Jane, what keeps you motivated to serve year after year? Yeah. Well, it's because the people ask me to, and I do get positive feedback. And whenever I can help, then I will help if I can help. And that's what motivates me. If I can do something positive and something to help our city, then that's what I want to do. If I'm in the way, I'll step back. Let somebody else take over. Be fine with me.
Yeah, we need, and unfortunately, humans have an 80-20 situation, whether it's sales teams, whether it's people getting involved. 20% of the people do 80% of the work, right? I mean, and in a small town, that's especially an important thing, because we have limited resources. So it's important to have somebody like you, because if there wasn't somebody like you, there wouldn't be somebody, right? I mean, we went through the different things that you're showing up for. It's like the people in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. Only certain people get involved, and we really need to keep driving that message that more need to get involved. So, because we're so limited here. I don't know. What are we at? 2,600 people now? Something like that, or less? 2,300 maybe? these questions keep going. They're ignoring me. I told them to knock it off so we could go about our lives, and they're totally ignoring me. How can young leaders earn trust locally? I think that's an awesome question by David.
I think that young leaders, as long as
Earn
they
trust.
earn trust by definitely by showing interest and being honest. I mean, how else would you? It's really interesting that we don't have that. It's so hard to explain. It's so hard to explain. But I just want people to know that. Well, I don't care whether it's me or whoever. Just get somebody in there that cares about this community and cares about the people, and say, okay, I may screw up, I may make a mistake. I'm sorry, but we'll go on, and let's just work
Yeah.
together.
Honestly, a mistake's better than absence. It's just totally a mistake is something that's still moving forward. Absence, there is no possibility. A mistake can be corrected. Absence can't.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so John asked you a question earlier, and I want you to read what he says here
Okay.
out loud, please.
Oh, this one. Thank you for creating space for real listening.
Isn't that nice?
Oh my
Very nice.
goodness. Yes.
Very fair of him.
That's an
And then John
excellent-
Tilley as well. He asked you a
Thank you
question
for-
earlier.
Yeah, excellent episode. Thank you for going deep. Thank you.
That's the whole thing we really need to do. Sound bites in TV and all this stuff that we're living in the world of today. I don't know that CBS, NBC, and ABC back in the day, Walter Cronkite and all that, were necessarily always giving us. But what happened back then is I think they took stories deeper. Now they just whatever the sound bite is. But they took stories deeper, and then people thought about what they were saying, whether they agreed or disagreed. At least they had information, and I think people really appreciate. What John's saying here. Thank you for going deep. We spent time here getting to know you. We've got another two. Oh my God, another 260 people just have been coming on since you came back. When you left us. They were getting the hell out of town, but when you came back, another 200 people showed back up.
Oh my gosh!
So any final thoughts before somebody else kicks something? We're now at an hour and 20 minutes.
Just thank you. I just want to say thank you, and I'll do what I can. Is all I know to do, and. Any advice or thoughts and stuff, I certainly read and listen to.
Would you put your email or whatever contact if somebody wants to contact you direct? Do you mind putting it in the privacy on the right side there, the private chat?
Oh, where it's.
Yeah, why don't you put your, I guess, email or website, whatever the best way you want people to contact you. If maybe over the weekend, they want to email you a question or something, we usually have guests do that. And then I'll copy it and put it onto the comments right at the very bottom so they don't have to search for it. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. So am I supposed to just
click on it and then type down at the bottom? You see a little chat box down there?
Yeah, under the word Mary Jane, under my picture.
I don't know how it exactly looks. For me, it's a studio chat, 2 people, and then there's a blank area, and then down at the bottom you can type.
See, I don't
use the @ to mention. Just click on the private chat and here, I'll tell you what.
I don't know. It just
here. Give me your email. Give me your email again.
MJ Scott.
MJ. I'm terrible. Scott, SCOTT, MJ Scott at
1972.
1972. What a beautiful year.
gmail.com.
gmail.com. All right, sister. I am. Bam.
Oh,
We got
I
it
see
right,
it.
right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to, everybody, Mary Jane's going to pop off here. I'm going to put her in the green room. And if you got any questions, right there's her email. And good luck on Tuesday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll see you on the other side. Hold on. That was a great show, guys. Oh my God. What do you guys do? Why are you doing this, Jason? You guys are screwing with me right now. I know you are. I've never had this happen to me before. It's their time. They deserve our time. I always say people come onto the show because they're getting information, or they're interested in the subject, or they're just bored and they want to listen to somebody ramble on, whatever. But it is still their time, so I want to honor that. So I've made a commitment to always answer everybody's questions, and they just keep coming. How do we teach restraint in a culture driven by reaction? And I love this. By the way, Jason, I was giving you crap a minute ago, but I really love this question. How do you teach restraint? Because this is everything. This is what it. Oh my God, they keep coming. How do you teach restraint in a culture driven by reaction? Great question.
Are you asking me that?
I am. Well, I'm not. Jason is. This is a tougher one, right?
Well, it is, and it's like he wants us to answer that question for everybody, and it can't be answered for everybody. How
That's
do
a
we
great
teach
point.
restraint in a culture driven by reaction? By example. More than anything, I think it's by example.
It's perfect. And that's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally everybody.
Mm-hmm.
By example. We were talking about it. Kids watch more than they listen, right?
Yes.
They're watching you all the time. And so is the
Yes.
rest of society. I love that.
Yeah.
Expand on that.
Yeah. Well, you're really testing me, Rod. You know that?
All right, I'll let you
We
off the
weren't
hook.
supposed to be here this long.
I know we weren't. I know, but it's not my fault. It's these guys. No, you guys
Okay.
know I'm screwing with you. I love this. By the way, David earlier asked about young leaders. How can they earn trust locally? He came back, and I want you to read this one now, and I'll let you off the hook then.
Okay. He said, so grateful for this honest discussion. Well, that's one thing you'll always have with me is an honest discussion. I mean, it's I either won't tell you or I will tell you exactly what I'm thinking. But I won't lie.
We don't
to
have
you.
enough of that. We don't have enough of that today at all. All right, one more wave. Let's see if we can pull this off this time. Oh, nope. Oh, hey, this guy was a guest just a month ago.
Think about it.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck he means by that. What do you mean there, Ronald? Fill that out a little bit. Think about it. So I think he's saying thinking about it, or maybe a little bit of a typo there, Ronald. This guy's totally active on. I get hits from him every single day on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, you can tell he's on LinkedIn here. The other ones mostly were from YouTube, but we stream out to all the different, right? So we'll get different depending on where they're coming on from. But I'll handle this, and we will let you get back to the green room, and I'll hook up with you. This is the fourth time I've said this, I think. We'll hit you up here in a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Give me that parade wave again. There it is. All right, now let's see if we can close this show down. And Ronald, if you can clarify that for me, I'd love to bring you back up. Appreciate you being here, brother. I've seen you're coming on more and more. I really appreciate that. LinkedIn is obviously an important It's an important platform for us. And let me just move this over to here. I want to go move that down. Oh, come on, guys. There we are. All right. So as I was saying, Ronald, if you want to expand on that, let me know what you're thinking, and we'll go from there. But at this point, as we're closing the today down, I want to leave everybody with this. What you heard today was not ideology. We talked about ideology, and that's something we really need to investigate more, because I think it has an effect currently on how we're reacting with each other. When you have an ideology instead of an idea, which is what politics is supposed to be, then every disagreement becomes an attack versus just an disagreement that we can learn from each other about. So we are not about ideology on this show. We're about ideas. We're about curiosity. And today wasn't a performance either. It wasn't a fight. Far from it. It was just people. And we talked about their two different paths. As I said, for Cooper, we're doing a little bit of a teaser, a preview for his show that's going to be on Monday now. And these people have two different chapters that they're coming to their I'm sticking leadership in my head too much here, to their service, to their offering. But each of these chapters have one shared truth. Leadership is not abstract when it's local. And that's kind of really important because it's personal. You heard from Mary Jane Scott, a life shaped by education, service, faith, loss, and continuity. And you will hear on Monday from Cooper Earls about a life shaped by service, injury, redirection, and a decision to keep serving anyway. And that's a lot of what Mary Jane and I talked about today. And you, the questions that you had, really spent a lot of time on this serving. And whether you agree with them or not, whether you support them or not, that's the point of today. That's not the point of today. The point of today is this. When communities stop listening, the loudest voices win. When the loudest voices win, wisdom loses. And when wisdom disappears, systems fail people quietly until they fail them all at once. That's why Open Mic Friday exists. That's why Voices at the Table exists. That's why the Regeneration School Project exists, because we stopped teaching people how to listen, how to disagree without destroying one another, how to sit in complexity without turning it into rage. Education was meant to be a shelter. Civic life was meant to be stewardship. And neither one works without restraint, judgment, and responsibility. If today's conversation challenged you, good. If it made you uncomfortable, you know what? Pay attention to that. And if it reminded you that local leadership still matters, then this show did its job. Look, before you go, please subscribe to our channel here on YouTube if you haven't already done so. Watch more than one episode. The show is on an ecosystem, not a soundbite, okay? Join us on Substack at insightsstraighttalk.substack.com, where the conversation goes beyond the live stream. And if you believe conversations like this matter, share this episode. Independent media only survives when people participate. We don't do this to be liked. We do this to be honest. I'm Rod Duff with producer Barbie, and this has been Insights in Straight Talk. We'll see you next time. Because this is where listening still matters. And I'm out of here.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out. Hey.